Welcome back to Don't Shoot the Messenger. It's your host, Juan. And today I have my lovely guest, Lesley Resendiz. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Lesley. Most people know me as Paisley Queen.
The Paisley Queen,
the
yes,
Paisley
ma'am.
Queen. And yeah,
Nice.
here we are.
Yes, ma'am. All right, cool. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I've been trying to get this off the ground, get this launched, and it's been a little mission, but it's just one step after the other. I'm sure you know how that is, the creative process.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to my sister earlier about being a creative. A lot of people, just being a creative, it kind of seems like more of a privilege thing, but it's like you have to be able to put in the work to put yourself in the spot to be able to produce whatever art you want. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's not just you're just making art and that's what you're doing. Like no, you have to provide for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You have to keep yourself alive. And build your tools, use your tools, select your tools to
To do what you gotta do.
Exactly,
Yeah.
as artists, to do what you gotta do, exactly.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's a privilege and a curse.
Right? Yeah.
Because there's no blueprint to what you want to do.
100%, yeah.
There's no one telling you, hey, this is the path, this is the steps you're gonna take. And that's just how I see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, that's with life, like doing something that you love.
It's a crazy thing. You gotta like create your own blueprint, when it comes to being a creative. It's like when you're talking to someone who may not understand like the creativity or why do you want to, do that? Like, why don't you just do this or do that? I don't know. It ties into everything, who we are. You look around the room and like someone creative fucking put this room together.
Well, there's beauty in every that creativity is in everything. That beauty of creativity is in everything. That's what I definitely want to showcase with this podcast. Just appreciating the beautiful things in life. I think we take a lot of things for granted.
Right.
Every moment. I was talking to another friend just about being. Just even in the moment, like you have to realize the yin yang.
Right.
The good and the bad and the good, and that's what life is, right? Like
Right.
you have to appreciate everything for what it is because it's all beautiful. Just the fact that you can experience any emotions at all. Really, I think I used to trip out on that as a kid. Like I'd be like, man, life might be tough at certain points. Just to be able to experience any feelings at all, it's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing, and it shouldn't be taken for granted, I don't think. And just what we were saying about art, like there's art in everything, like in architecture and just
It's anything.
Flowers. Like I always trip out about fucking flowers, like or being in nature, just how beautiful like nature works. Like you can see a flower and it's just like perfectly balanced, like the symmetry and everything like that. Or like an acorn. I always look at acorns because I don't know, they just look like crazy straight up. Like or not acorns, not pine cones.
Pine cones.
The ones that they just look wild. I'm like, man, and that's just nature. Like
Right.
it just does that. Like it's just how it is.
Yeah, for sure.
It's dope. I definitely every medium of art that oh my god, I did it again. Fuck. Oh my god, yes. Fuck.
It's okay.
It's my first time. This is
the
my first time doing them,
cool,
so yeah.
cool.
I still got the recordings though, so.
Yeah. I definitely understand. I feel like when you said flowers, I even thought about a florist. That's how you say it?
Yeah, florist.
Yeah, like people putting bouquets together and all that stuff. It's
Any
like,
type of like I said, in any medium, art in any medium is beautiful to me. Like, I was talking to a friend, Yuli, right? Yuli, I was talking to Yuli.
Yeah, Super Saiyan Yuli.
Super Saiyan Yuli, shout out that boy, Super Saiyan Yuli. But I was talking to Yuli about, he was telling me, he was like, I don't really watch movies, blah, 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 this and that. I'm like, I get it, it's not like a popular thing. I don't think in our generation it's really like a popular thing to like watch movies. But I was like, bro, like, you don't like art? Like, art is art, you know what I'm saying? It's just like modern. He's like, man, I don't like how they like redo movies and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, I get it, but like, it's like a modern adaptation. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have way more. Yeah, exactly.
Like music.
Yeah, it's we have way more technology, like better technology to use. Like, and like I just went to go watch the new Batman and shit.
Okay.
And the new James Bond, and that shit is dope because it's just like it is the same. Like we understand the story, right? We understand the same story, but it's like I was saying, we have the same
technology.
We have new technology, and it looks so much better. The updated soundtrack and shit like that.
Right. We're just 90s kids, so we're a little stubborn.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
We just stuck in between like 2000s and then like the fact that we were born in the 90s.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So that's how I am about music.
Like, what do you mean about music?
Man, like, cause when for us, we grew up. Okay, yeah, like we know '90s music or whatever, but we really grew up in like them 2000s.
Yeah, I'm 98. You're 96.
I'm 96.
So yeah.
But yeah, so we don't like growing up. You don't really know about sampling, like unless like you really,
That's
your parents or whatever.
Huge facts. Yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying.
Huge facts for sure.
So now you think about it, and when we're hearing the music right now, it's like, why are you sampling something from the 2000s, the early 2000s? You know what I'm trying to say? But then we didn't realize that things were getting sampled from like the 90s, the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. Like people nowadays won't know the difference between a sample and like an actual song. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like be like, damn, what is this song? Like, oh, they made this song. Like, nah, this is actually a sample.
Right.
Or even like an interpolation. You know what an interpolation is? It's like kind of taking the exact same like melody. You know what I'm saying? Like taking, but not word for word.
Not word for word.
Yeah, like for example, like Juice WRLD, like what is it? Lucid Dreams. That one, he took a melody from Sting. This guy, old guy, Sting, named Sting, and he has to pay. Well, he had to pay. Rest in peace. Yeah, he had to pay Sting like 80%, something like that.
Because that's his. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because that's his. He interpolated like a melody from that song on the hook, so it's like he had to.
Or like Megan with I'd rather you be a.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
it's
from Tupac, yeah. Exactly.
Same thing as Tupac. I understand what he's saying, when it comes to the movies too. I mean, personally, I'm not a movie person either.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I feel like that's a big thing with our generation. I don't know. It might be a hot take, but I don't know. For me personally, I know this is how I feel.
Yeah.
But I don't know if many people agree. It is what it is. But I just think that I'm sure people would probably agree, but. It's just, I feel like since COVID happened, it really did like reset a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? And you ever hear that thing called like the Great Reset?
Yeah.
Like, I really think it did reset a lot of things. And for me personally, I don't know, it feels like everything that was made before the COVID era and shit like that, it kind of like, not that I don't give a fuck about it, but it's just like, it's like not the same to me. It doesn't hold the same like weight to me. It's like, I want new shit. By that? Like, it's just like music and shit like that. I'd be like, okay, like this was all made before this COVID era, and it's like, I feel like the world is just a different world now. You know what I mean? And
it's more virtual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
definitely so
100%. Yeah, it's definitely going that way.
Anymore. Go outside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with this global warming and shit, I mean. It's getting hotter. This polar vortex shit, you know what that means?
That shit sounds crazy. That's all I know.
A polar vortex. So with global warming, a polar vortex is like what makes it. So you've noticed, of course, everybody's noticed that it's gotten like hotter, and in places like
over the years.
Yeah, but the thing is, it pushes like those extremes like further and further apart. So like the hotter it gets, it's gonna be more hot, and like in hot places, it's gonna be more hot eventually. Yeah. And then in cold places, like in Chicago a couple years ago, they had like the coldest winter that they ever had.
Yeah.
And that's because of the polar vortex. Like it's pushing that extreme to the, like farther. You know what I mean? So it is crazy. So I mean, I understand. Like, but that is like, I mean, it is kind of a good segue to the next topic. I was going to talk about Elon Musk, but about Neuralink, right?
No,
you know about Neuralink?
No, what is that?
Okay, well this is a big thing. Let's see. When Elon Musk, he has Starlink, which is his like Wi-Fi company, and then he has Tesla, of course, and then he has SpaceX, which is a space company, and then he has Neuralink, which is going to be his next company. But he's literally working on a chip that you implant in the human brain, and he's saying eventually we won't even have to like use our words or mouths to be able to talk to each other. We would just be able to connect telepathically like over Wi-Fi and shit like that. Wow. Yeah, it is wild, right?
How do you feel about that?
I mean, okay, so we're talking about like, when we're talking about like a biblical aspect of it, right? It is kind of like prophetic, right? It's kind of like playing itself out, right? Like the story of like the mark of the beast, and I mean, I have read the Bible, but I haven't read that far and in depth, But I mean, I do remember just them saying, and see, because this is like a big thing on like TikTok I was telling you about earlier, like. I mean, I just recently like came across this guy. He's just basically saying that all the images and things that you think about hell and like the bad parts of the Bible, like Revelations and shit like that, has all been kind of like sensationalized by media and things like that in order to make money, like just profiting off of people's fear, like fear mongering, and profiting off of people's fear of hell and of like damnation and shit like that, Yeah. So, but I do remember in the end of at the end of like Revelation and shit, they do talk about like the mark of the beast, and that people won't be able to like trade or like operate on a market without using that, without getting the mark of the beast.
That's crazy.
And that seems kind of like, it doesn't seem far fetched to think that like this same thing would happen with what we're talking about. It seems like it's, like I'm saying, prophetic and kind of unfolding in front of our eyes. And I don't know. I mean, part of me is like hell no, like this is crazy, you know. Of course, like like no. But then of course another part is kind of like, it's that if you can't beat them, like join them type shit. You know what I mean? Like I think that's what Elon was like going with the even with the like inception of the idea of Neuralink, like to even focus your energy on like creating something like that. I think he was sort of like in that mentality as well, to like be like, oh, if you can't beat them, join them. You know, like
how old do you have to like you know what I'm trying to say? Because I think about like school. Like
how old do you have to be to get that?
Yeah, like what?
I mean, I'm sure you're like 18, like some shit like that, or maybe I don't actually, because if it becomes like applicable and it's like it works,
right?
Like I don't see why they wouldn't do it to younger kids, you know, or anybody.
Or maybe people that need it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big thing.
I think that's what I'm thinking about.
That's a
like,
big thing that people like that he wants to use it for. Like okay, so he has this. I can show you a video. I'm gonna show you this video of this monkey.
That's crazy.
So you get the gist though, right? Like basically. Right, so yeah, people that need it, you know, it could be very well applicable to people, you know, like you said, with paralysis. You know, it could definitely help people in a lot of different ways. Yeah, and like we're talking about with the metaverse, like it's literally becoming all digitalized, and I'm pretty sure like eventually with Neuralink, you're gonna be able to literally step in. Well, I know now. I don't know. I mean, have you seen like, you know, like the Sandbox? Like that's like Snoop Dogg's metaverse.
I've heard of it, but I didn't really look into it.
Yeah. But there's like a bunch of different ones. Like Meta is Facebook's metaverse. That's what they're trying to go towards. But there's not. I don't know if you can access that like yet, because I know that there's some that you can access like with.
Right.
I think. But I think that there's some that you can access right now, like with the Oculus, with the VR headset. You can like literally walk in there and experience the metaverse right now. But it's kind of like a beta grade, you know, like not.
The same thing with people showing their artwork as NFTs. You know what I'm saying? Like people
exactly. That's
being able to
have a space. Yeah, you can actually have like a literal digital art gallery.
Exactly.
And that's beautiful. That is so awesome. Like anybody could literally have their own. Yeah, exactly, and have whatever type of pieces as NFTs. In your artwork, in your world, in your metaverse. So whenever you think about that, it is like wild. You know, like when we're talking about connecting it to Neuralink, like being able to fully submerge yourself into that reality.
Yeah.
You know, like so when we talk about all the things that we have to worry about with the environment and in the world and shit like that, it's really all obsolete because we can just upload our consciousness basically onto that platform.
Ooh, that sounds crazy.
It is crazy, right? But it is also like, it's also like we don't have to go searching to other worlds anymore. Like we don't have to go searching to planets anymore. We can literally just like upload into the ether, into the internet.
That's
like
true.
you know, like that's what I mean about the environment. Like none of that even matters anymore because.
So crazy.
But I mean, we're gonna have to have like a planet to like chill at.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
You know,
until
like,
it really goes down here.
But I think we're gonna be good for a while. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. Like I'm not any I'm not a biologist. Yeah, I'm not a biologist. I'm not sure about. I'm not a science person. I'm not a science person. Yeah, exactly. But you know, I think we're gonna have a good amount of time. Like our children, our grandchildren. Maybe not our grandchildren, but I mean, yeah, I'm just saying.
Maybe not our great grandchildren.
Maybe not our great grandchildren, but maybe like our grandchildren will probably be good.
Right.
So that's probably enough time. But we would have to like go to a planet that's sustainable. Because the only problem I think about it is like, it's like Wi-Fi, right? It's all mechanical and it's all like electronical. So what if somebody just unplugs the plug? Like, I mean, I'm sure that's a stupid like, you know, basic question to ask. You know, I'm sure it is like to people that know about that. But I mean, that's just my question. That's one question that I have, you know, about it. So
I don't know. All I know is I try to be outside.
Yeah, exactly. Life is beautiful. Like nature's beautiful, you know, like that's the essence of life and creation, like real creation, you know, you can see it.
Because there's already people who like really don't. I mean, I think about like video games. That's like the first form of just being in a different reality. Yeah,
100%.
You know, like that's 100%. From the beginning of whenever video games even came out like that.
It's just like books, you know what I mean, as
Books
well. You ever
too.
think about like reading a book, it takes you to another place and things like that. But I mean, really being immersed into
Right.
another reality, like you're saying, like a video game. Like, and that's a
Right.
huge thing. People love video games. Like I love
Yeah.
video games, and I know a lot of people that love video games.
Yeah.
But it's like, I got into this debate with my mom and like my stepdad because he plays video games. He plays PUBG. You know what PUBG is?
Is it like a build?
No,
No.
it's
What
it's
is
like what's like those games of battle royale games. But
Okay,
what you gonna say?
yeah. No, I would say like I thought about like Fortnite.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like well,
yeah.
see, if I say that, I know there's gonna be a shitload of people
Did
like
I
it's
fuck
not like
up?
Fortnite.
Did I fuck up?
Nah, but
Don't hate me.
right? But here, let me see it. Close the fuck up right now. Fuck it. Yeah, it's not like it's a battle royale game like that. So it is kind of like the same. Like they all basically adapted their own version of
Yeah.
Fortnite like to their own games and shit. But
Right.
anyways, he plays that game a lot, and you know my mom is always like, "Oh my god, he's always on his games, blah blah this and that." But it's like, the way I told my mom, I was like, "Mom, this is like modern day like gladiator shit." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like for real, like
Yeah.
whenever people would like go to the Coliseum in Rome and shit like that and watch people, you know what I'm saying? Like not like that
Or like
wild.
watching people play video games.
Well, I mean that too, but also like participating in the video game. You know what I'm saying? It's like
they
it's
should
being
win money for this.
yeah,
shit.
100%. Yeah, exactly. So it's not really like like it's not really just like you could just dismiss it like that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you know at a certain point you could get money for it, but I mean it's a very like low percentage of people. But,
Y'all dream big.
yeah, but dream big. Exactly.
Dream
Don't let
big.
nobody tell you what not to do.
Right,
Exactly.
you-
Like for real, 100%.
You want to be part of that small percent? You be part.
You're gonna be part of it. Yeah,
Fuck it.
exactly, 100%. Yeah,
Right.
but so that's what I be telling my mom. It's like you know, I play 2K.
Mm-hmm.
I play a bunch of different shit, but I like playing 2K mostly because it's like I like to talk shit. Like for real, like I like talking shit on video games. Like especially with 2K,
What
it's like
is it with? Okay,
that's
like,
what I
need
mean
to know,
because it's like I'm saying like and you know. Not everybody's like athletic. Not everybody can like play all these sports that you know
Right.
that everybody could play. You know what I'm saying? Not
Right.
everybody's built like that. But I mean, everybody can hop onto their PlayStation and connect with everybody around the world and still like
Right.
compete. You know what I'm saying? Still have that kind of like
That's true.
level of competition and like build on your skills and shit like that. There's people
Right.
that take that shit seriously. Like I know I take it kind of seriously. Like I got this tattoo on my chest for free because I beat somebody at 2K for it.
Are you dead?
Yeah, shout out to Easy Money. Shout out to Eric. That's my dog. You know what I'm saying? It's all love. He already knows. It's, you know, but it's just that's what it is. You know, like it's a real thing.
The art of playing video games and talking shit. I really, honestly, like I don't mind like
Yeah.
watching someone play video games and talking shit and hearing all the shit talking. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
It's entertaining.
Y'all multitasking.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
And this is what I mean. Like, not everybody could be like a star athlete and shit like that, but everybody can like build up their skills in a video game and shit like that. And then like once you build up your skills, you become confident in yourself to be able,
Right.
you know, like to play against whoever. You be like, man, fuck that. You could beat me? Are you crazy? Like, what are you
Right.
talking about? Like,
Come
you know.
on.
So.
But that's like a real life game too. Like if somebody wants to go and have a quick basketball game or a soccer game.
100%. Yeah, you build your confidence exactly. So it's like the same thing, but it's like we're talking about going into a different reality.
Yeah.
This is a reality where you are
Right.
a fucking, you know, whatever,
Right.
you know, fill in the blank. Like you
Right.
are that. You know what I'm saying? You're a killer. You're a star athlete.
That's
you're
true.
You feel me? You're
But that's with everything though. Like if you think about it, like even going back to being a creative, like
you saw I was gonna wedding.
yeah, I
That
saw
was
that you was
like it was a wedding. Like
I know you over here.
yeah.
Being a creative, it's also being in a different reality. You know, people get lost in what they do. I can definitely tell you that I've had moments where I don't pick up the phone for a couple days because I'm so stuck on working on something that
100%.
I just don't want to like, you know what I'm saying?
You don't wanna fuck
Interact
with
with
your
people
reality.
yet. Like I'm trying to focus on this, or I've seen, you know, people work on music
Mm-hmm.
and they'll like headphones in, like they don't even know somebody walked in the room, like
Yeah.
oh shit, you know. So
You know what like method acting is?
method acting.
Yeah, like it's a form of acting, right? But it's just like whenever an actor gets like very deeply entrenched in their role, like it becomes part of them. Like,
yeah.
so you know about Heath Ledger, you know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what happened with him, and you know,
Yeah.
just being completely immersed in your role, like to
Right.
where it's literally a part of you.
Right.
You know, like you really are that character, and that's it could be dangerous, you know, for a lot of people. Well, that's an example of how dangerous it could be.
It happens to people, and so, I mean, sometimes, I mean, not to the extent that he was in, but just more so like sometimes you have to move like that if that's
Yeah.
what you
love.
and,
Yeah.
and how you perceive yourself. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Some people, it also depends. Like the people who are around you who understand you, like they would understand like who you are. You know what I'm trying to say? Even if like maybe they've known you for a long time and now you're trying to be this person. Not even trying. You're becoming this person. Like it's the same shit to me. Like, you know, you fully immerse into you as a being.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Everything connects.
It definitely does.
Matters.
Everything really does connect. Like, and that's one thing that I've learned in my life. You know, my experiences. That's one thing that I want to do with this podcast. You know, it's all about love. It's really all about love and life and helping each other through life, like throughout our experiences. You know, and you know, hopefully, you know, we talk about whatever, you know, but hopefully somebody could get some sort of like, you know, service out of what we're talking about. But let's talk about music. I really want to get your perspective on music and
yes. Ask me.
So you said you're from New York. You were born in New York, right?
Yes, I was born in Queens, Woodhaven, but not too long after that, we moved to the South Bronx. So I really grew up in the South Bronx.
Okay. So what do you remember, like, earliest music or like inclinations that you remember being around, like when you were little?
Well, for sure, I'm first generation Mexican.
Okay.
So my parents got to New York in the 90s.
Wow.
So definitely, you know, just Spanish music in general.
Yeah. Where are your parents from?
My dad is from Michoacan.
Cool.
And my mom is from Mexico City, a little small town called Nezahualcóyotl.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely, you know, cumbia, sonideras.
Dope. And that was like a big thing down there in New York as well?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Like cumbia, sonideras are definitely big. But we were the only Mexican family in our apartment building. So I really grew up around a lot of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans.
Yeah.
So my first, like, CD, like burnt CD, was a like reggaeton and bachata
like
and
mix.
merengue. Yeah.
Dope.
It was a mix.
Yeah.
My neighbor, she lived on the 6th floor. She gave us a CD, so every Sunday we would like jam the fuck out of.
Dope. Yeah, new mix.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Some that, or like like Aventura. But then again, like I didn't realize like growing up that, you know, like Aventura, like bachata was just so heavy. You know what I'm saying? Because like all I hear is like Mexican music, pretty much, you know, in the household. But you know, like salsa music, all of that. It wasn't until I was getting a little older. I mean, obviously, like the radio was a big thing. You know, you listen to like Hot 97, Z100 out there, and you hear like Outkast, you hear 50 Cent. Ooh, I love 50 Cent.
I bet you at that time, that was fucking crazy. Like early 90s, right? So you're 96, so it's about not early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
You had, like, I mean, people were jamming, like, Biggie, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
They're jamming Wu-Tang.
Yeah, exactly, of course.
You know what I'm saying? All of that.
But this is
Big
more,
L.
a little bit past that time, right? Like, when you're coming up, so it's more,
so
like,
growing
50.
up, it's just, like, 50 Cent.
And, like, Fab and shit like that.
Fab, oh, my God, yes. Even, like, a little older, like, middle school, like, Nicki.
Oh, 'cause you said you came back here around, you were 15, right? Where you moved down here when you were?
Yeah. So I grew up in New York up until I was 15. So I came to Houston as a sophomore. So
that's so crazy.
Yeah, as a sophomore in high school.
I think that's like, okay, so you're
like
just 1 year in front of me, right?
Yeah, I graduated in 2014.
So you're 2 years ahead of me. I'm
Yeah.
16.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
So that's dope. But I mean, I met you in school.
Yeah,
exactly, from JV.
From JV.
Shout out JV.
Shout out Jersey Village.
Do it. I mean, for real, just do it. Right, you just gotta do it.
Where's the
hold on, let's do
camera
both of them.
at?
Let's do both of them. Fly, Falcons, fly.
I'm dead.
Nah, but
Oh shit.
fuck it. But
See, that's what I knew. Like,
yeah,
I was doing too much.
we can't be
I was
too.
doing too much.
They don't deserve it. I'm just playing. Nah, they do. It's cool.
But yeah, but then again, it just really depends on like who, like just what you're around. Because in New York, you could really fall into anything.
Yeah.
I had a lot of my cousins who they liked like alternative. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
They like
rock music.
Yeah. During that time, MTV was still showing music videos. You know, before like 16 and Pregnant or like you know stuff like that.
This was more like early 2000s. That's like, what is that one shit? I never watched it, but it's like, what's that one dude's name?
It's like a day. You're talking about like Catfish?
Not like Catfish. It was like a music show, but it was like...
Oh, TRL?
TRL, exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say DTRL, but that's... What is that? Oh, DTLR. I was going to say DTLR. You know what DTLR is?
Is that...
the shoe store?
Yes, I'm looking crying.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So
that.
yeah,
but
like TRL.
yeah,
but,
that was like that, and like
yeah.
106, right?
106 in Park.
Yeah.
All of that.
Is that in New York? 106 in Park. That's in New York, right? Okay, yeah. I didn't know. Yeah, but yeah, that's
So
dope.
all of that. But I also like once I got to high school, I don't know, I started listening to like Modest Mouse or like you know, like random
alternative
stuff.
shit,
Like,
yeah.
you know, like it's just a mixture, but it just depends like
When you came from like, two of the biggest markets, right? Like two of the biggest cities, right? Like Houston and then New York. It's like I'm not sure, but whenever I was doing yearbook and shit like that, it was like New York is number one, Chicago, or I think LA is like number two, we're number three.
They say New York is the capital of the world.
Yeah,
so.
I think. Yeah, I mean, I believe that. Yeah, and it's just a huge hub of like diverse people, of diversity. You know what I'm saying? So like you're saying, there's a lot of shit.
Trends there. It's just, I'll tell you, like, from like slang to like music, to especially right now. Like,
Oh yeah, you can feel it. Everybody feels that, like just the effect that New York has on rap and hip hop in general, or music in general. You know what I'm saying? Like you can definitely feel it. Like that trendsetter energy for sure. That's one thing I was talking about with my homeboy earlier. Just like the connection between like Houston and New York. Like there is like a connection between like like when we talk about like ASAP Rocky.
Yeah, I was
just
really
thinking
about ASAP Rocky.
That's like a perfect blend between the two styles. You know what I mean? And so there is like
Long Live ASAP. Is that
the first one or
the one that like definitely I feel like I understood exactly.
Well, his whole like. He would always use the chopped and screwed like influence and shit like that, and the grills and shit is unmistakable. It's Houston shit.
Purple,
you know what I mean?
like I'm saying.
Yeah, that's all that. Yeah, exactly.
Houston
the lean,
influence.
exactly. It's all Houston.
But some
shit.
people really don't like. Had I not moved to Houston, I probably wouldn't have understood like the influence, like as much as I understand it now. Like I would have thought, okay, cool, I guess chopped and screwed music Houston. But before I moved to Houston, it never crossed my mind.
Yeah, it wasn't
like
in your realm or nothing like that.
The city in general never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And so I think like in recent years, like maybe in the past 5-6 years, like someone like Drake always rapping about Houston.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
like always rapping about Houston.
Yeah.
So I feel like it made it, I'm not saying that like he made it like known
well,
or nothing like that. Yeah. But it's just
he definitely
more,
shown a bigger light on it.
He's saying a lot of love to Houston and stuff like that in the most recent years. So, but yeah, that's really it. Like I feel like I wouldn't have understood the influence, like what chopped and screwed music is, or lean.
The lean culture, yeah.
Yeah, like I wouldn't.
Or swanging, or
like pokers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? All of that. Like,
grills, yeah.
Or even Grills by Paul Wall.
Yeah.
Like I was, I think that song came out, or Riding Dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And they both went to JV. Hey, shout out
to JV.
Hey, let's go. Hey, fly, Falcons, fucking fly.
Yo, me and this, every time I do it, I always hit the microphone.
Yeah, you're good. Fuck you.
But yeah, so
yeah.
It's just shit like that, because I'm over here listening to Riding Dirty in New York, and I'm not really thinking about like where he comes from.
Yeah, or what that's like, what that reality is like. Yeah, for sure.
But shout out to Houston, because to be honest, if it weren't for Houston, I feel like my music taste would have been very limited, because I was introduced to DJ Screw. DJ Screw really like changed my perspective on like how I listen to music, for sure.
Hell yeah, that's dope. That's really dope. Yeah. So let's see, like in your younger days, like who would you say is like top 3 that you would say like remind you of like your time in New York at that time?
Growing up?
Yeah. Like you were saying, like Wu-Tang, 50, and like...
I would say 50.
Yeah.
Jay-Z. Alicia Keys.
Damn.
I'm trying to think, who else? I was listening to a lot of... Am I limited to just New York artists, or?
No, I mean, yeah.
I just think a lot about like
remind you of that time.
Yeah, like R&B shit. Like I think about like even like Chris Brown, like
Mary that was definitely a big thing in our upbringing for sure.
Was out here.
He really was out here.
Yeah.
Like 16 years old, just fucking doing the fucking thing.
Fucking Soulja Boy.
Yeah.
Soulja Boy was out here, but then really like I would say I was more like influence or listening to like Spanish music.
Yeah, that's dope. That's really crazy.
Like
I feel like
Yankee,
me personally, I don't know Spanish. Like I didn't like. I mean, I know Spanish. I can speak Spanish, but I like kind of. I'm not fluent.
Yeah.
But I like Spanish music. I can like Spanish music, but it's just like I have to understand what they're saying first. Before I can. you know.
It's a bunch of love songs.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
bunch of shaking ass, whatever.
It's all like the same thing, you know what I'm saying? It's just in different cultures, you know, like
Yeah.
with corridos and shit like that. Like that's the same
Yeah.
shit as like rap drug songs, you know what I'm
That's
saying? Right?
true.
Like it's the exact same thing, it's just in a different culture and like different
Cartel.
language. Yeah,
Cartel
exactly.
music.
Yeah. Shout out them
But
niggas.
no, definitely. I mean, it's again like I grew up around a lot of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and it's going to like the house parties. Like you gotta know how to dance some bachata.
Yeah.
Or you're going to the quinceañeras, like merengue. Like I learned how to do all of that.
I remember that shit too. I mean, as a kid, like I was in like 315s as a kid. Deadass, you know what I'm saying? Like, and my dad would always tell me, he's like, man, if you don't dance, you don't get no girlfriends. Like straight up, and I'd be like, but that was a different time as well for them too. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause my dad grew up like man in Chicago, and he was like break dancing. He would tell me about like a lot of shit. There's one movie called Breakin'. I don't know if you ever heard of that movie. Breakin', or there's another one called Crush Groove. Yeah, it's called Crush Groove, and it's about like early hip hop. It's a early hip hop movie, and but what is it? Breakin' is about early like breakdancing movements and shit like that in the 90s or in the like whatever I don't fucking know, but well, okay, I'm gonna say 70s because hip hop was started in the 70s, right? 73 or 75 around that, right? And
70.
I think it was 73.
73 sounds right.
Yeah, I think it's 73. But so it's around that, and
shout out DJ Kool Herc.
Facts, exactly. Shout out DJ Kool Herc on what is it? Sedgwick. That's crazy.
Sedgwick
Let's go. Yeah, exactly.
South
She
Bronx,
educated.
South Bronx.
Facts. So yeah, shout out DJ Kool Herc. We wouldn't have the beautiful art that we have today without that.
Right.
Yeah, so 70s, and breaking is about, Crush Groove is about like LL Cool J, Curtis Blow, like early rappers and shit like that. They're all in that movie. Fat Boys. It's about the Fat Boys, really. It's really about them, and then it follows their journey. And then breaking is about breakdance crews and how breakdancing crews gangs originated from breakdance crews. Like they would do like meetups and battles and shit like that, and then eventually they started wearing the same colors, and then people would do battles, and then shit got out of hand, and that's just how. That's how my dad would always tell me about that shit too. Is like that's how the gang shit really like, started from like shit like that, and it's just dope shit.
You know what's crazy? I'm tripping. Growing up, you ever heard about something called Getting Light?
Getting Light? No.
No. So that was kind of like I feel like maybe middle school. I don't know if people were still doing it in high school, but middle school for me, people were getting light like during lunch.
What does that mean?
They're literally like like the. Like, or this, so they would get light. So instead of people like the way people are doing TikTok dances now, or like the way they like getting light was just like feet work. Okay. You know what I'm saying? It was just like people were dancing, but they were dance battling, but they called it getting light. You have to look it up.
That's dope. No, that's dope. It's just like creating like a little space, like around a group of people, and just like kind of
people had like
names,
like you know what I'm saying, like.
Yeah, that's old, sweaty face. That's old.
You know what I'm saying? Like, go. You know what I'm saying? Or people will like, chant their name or whatever. So getting light was a big thing.
Hell yeah.
Growing up in New York dope. Too.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had two other topics that I wanted to go over with you. Well, I mean, you're on Twitter a lot, right? Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Shout out to Twitter. I've been on Twitter for 10 years.
Okay. I wanted to talk about that, and I also want to talk about this one other thing. Maybe I'll save it for another time. But I think we only have time for one more.
Again?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So I mean, we were talking about Elon Musk earlier, right? And Neuralink. And I don't know if you heard, but he bought a lot of share in Twitter.
Yeah.
Earlier this week. And so Jack Dorsey was the co-founder of Twitter, and he only ever had 2.3% of Twitter. He only owned that much percent, and he was a co-founder.
Right.
Elon Musk now owns like 9%, 9 point something percent.
Right.
So that makes him the largest shareholder for Twitter.
For Twitter.
Yeah, and they just added him to the board of directors. So he's gonna actually have like power. Well, I mean, obviously he bought a lot of stake in a lot of shares in the company, so he's gonna have a lot of say in what the company does now.
Right.
And a lot of people are upset because it's like they think that he's gonna unban Donald Trump. They think he's gonna because that's one thing that he said the other day that Twitter is the de facto town square. For them to censor people and practice censorship on not evenly around or censor certain like topics or things like that, that is a direct violation of the Constitution and the freedom of speech. And it's true. It is true because I'm sure that they didn't intent for Twitter to become like what it is now, what it is today. You know what I mean? Because it's literally like what he's saying. It's like town square. You know, and there's a lot of power in the owners of Twitter to be able to highlight some stories and neglect other stories and things like that. You know, and that basically that's what he's trying to get rid of on Twitter. He's trying to fix that. You know, basically just show more representation and have better freedom of speech. Accountability and shit like that. Yeah. So, what do you think about that?
My thing is like, I feel like they already let us say whatever on Twitter and show whatever on Twitter.
Whatever.
Like, no, whatever, and at the end of the day, I just feel like people get too caught up on just one thing, personally. Like, if Twitter is your only I don't know how to explain it.
News source.
If it's what I'm trying to say, then you kind of need to reevaluate like your what I'm
life.
saying.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, what do you? First of all, like if you don't make any money from Twitter, like.
Yeah, and you're that invested. Why are you?
Right?
What are you really getting?
You're not making
at?
any bread from Twitter.
Yeah.
There's different other ways to like express yourself. Like, and it just again goes back to people getting so caught up on digital virtual world. And I understand. You know what I'm trying to say, and I feel like again like I've recently like disconnected from Twitter for those reasons, because I would religiously like just get on Twitter. And I see some funny shit. Wow, I don't need TV. Like, Twitter is just so
facts.
It's so funny.
Way more entertaining than
so
TV could ever be.
You know what I'm saying? But
because it's real life.
Right. But personally, like people with money gonna do whatever the fuck they gonna do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we have no control over what if you're not putting your money up to change something, you're not really what are what are we really fighting for?
Yeah, 100%. What are you really doing at the end of the day?
What are we really like investing our thoughts
attention,
into?
Our time and his attention. Yeah, exactly.
And that's just how I feel with a lot of things. That's why, like, whenever any app wants to change any rules, and let them change their fucking rules. At the end of the day, like, it is what it is. It's not our app. We didn't recreate it. We're just consumers. Yeah, I think personally, my thing with censorship, like, that's a big reason why I wanted to start this podcast, because it's like, my thing with censorship is like we were saying about life, like why Twitter is so entertaining, because it shows literally all types of life. And even I heard this one guy talking about, just this one guy, he was on Fresh and Fit, the Fresh and Fit podcast, whatever, and he was talking about like being desensitized. You know what I'm saying? Being desensitized to certain things, like seeing things like, I don't ever watch like crazy ass videos like on like best gore or shit like that, those kind of videos, like shit like that, like some people want to say that like, okay, like this is fucked up, like, and I understand that as well, like the see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, shit like that, I understand that as well, like your eyes are a window to your soul, right? But I also believe that like being, what is that one, there's one saying, just because you don't believe in the devil doesn't mean he doesn't exist. Yeah, you know what I mean? True. Like, and it's part of life. Like, life is crazy. Life is unpredictable. Right. That's the essence of life. Is that it's crazy. It's wild. It's untamable. Right. But, and like I'm saying, like, I think that with censorship, it's very important to have the entire picture painted. True. Like there's a side of the picture that is only being portrayed to the public that is great. Things are how we want them to be. Whatever you consume, you know what I mean? Like, whatever you can consume in your feed, whatever the hell, like that paints a picture of reality for you, in different aspects. But I think we're just talking, like it's just more perspectives to paint a better picture of reality, and it's a real reality for a lot of people, and to not be able to have that, like. Yeah, to be able to censor that and say that doesn't have a right to be said or be heard is very wrong, I think, in my opinion. And I think that's one thing I want to do with this podcast is just, not the yawns. Yeah, just to, spread information in the right way, or just, understand information in a collective way. Again, I think it just depends, like, what, what I'm saying, what are we, like, if it's going to be useful, if it's, like, going to be educating, if it's going to be... Exactly. So, I don't even want to say positive or anything like that, but if it's going to have an effect, make someone think, productive, You know what I'm saying? Of course,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you're just mad that, like, you can't fucking shake your ass or something,
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm trying to
What
say?
are you really mad about? Like, why are you really mad?
What,
Yeah,
like, it's to each their own.
Yeah.
Like, it depends. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not trying to say that some things are more important than others. Everyone has their own, whatever is important to them. I just feel like it depends what we're arguing about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. And
What are we arguing about? Because like censorship in general, I always think about my kids whenever I get kids.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I have a son. Yeah, exactly. So
I don't want, you know what I'm trying to say? I don't want them to, again, they're going to have more access to having, instead of like having a chalkboard, they have a smart board. They have iPads. They have tablets.
And they're going to be fed that information, you know
what
whether
I'm
we want
saying?
them to or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whether, and again, like I just always think about the future, like in general. I don't know. Like, it's just, if people are scared now about what's online and this and that, what's being shown, then like I can only imagine what's going to be like even 5 years from now.
Yeah, there's a big thing. There's a big thing with like Democrats and Republicans right now. I don't know if you've heard. You probably haven't heard about this, but like it's a big thing with like Democrats basically in California and a lot of Democratic states. There's been like curriculum passed that teaches kids about like transgenderism and sexual fluidity and shit like that, and a lot of people don't want their kids to learn about that like in certain age ranges. Like I think that they just passed a bill in California. A lot of people are calling it the Don't Say Gay bill, but it's not called that. That's actually like kind of like fucked up to call it that because it's like spinning it. It's like propaganda, you know. It's spinning the actual meaning of the bill, and the bill doesn't say gay in it at all. All it says is that basically it's a bill that passed that said you can't teach kids up to a certain age about gender fluidity or sexual exploration and shit like that, you know. And a lot of people are upset because they think that there should be representation and education about that as soon as possible.
Right.
Like Disney, there's been a lot of people at Disney that walked out and did a protest and shit because of this bill. Yeah. And well, they walked out because they're in Florida, and Florida's governor is Rick DeSantis. Yeah, that's his name, Rick DeSantis, I think. And he's a very Republican, and he agrees with this bill. And so they basically like took their power as Disney, as employees in Disney, and they were like, we're not gonna stand for this. We're gonna wait until we're gonna go on strike until our voices are heard and shit like that. But it's like it's just crazy because it's like it's just, you know, what we're talking about education and shit like that, and censoring certain things and not censoring other things, you know. And I don't know, how do you feel about that? Do you think that kids like I think it's definitely like an age appropriate thing, you know. I think eventually like kids should learn about it. I don't think that they shouldn't learn about it, but I don't think that like basically the biggest thing that they're doing that for is because that they're upset about that for is because like kids like learn about it, and then they eventually want to be like undergo transition surgery, and a lot of them end up regretting it
because it's an option, or they know about it. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And but for a lot of people it's irreversible, you know. That transition surgery is irreversible, and a lot of people end up regretting it, and there's no way to, it's irreversible, you know, so there's no way to go back. But what is your idea about that?
I definitely believe that kids need to, well, first off, the time that we're in right now, for whatever reason, kids became more comfortable even expressing like who they are at an early age, you know. Specifically, you know, being at JV, I was in the program, bless you, being in PALS, I was in PALS, and the assignment,
I was too. Shout out to Miss Went.
Shout out to Miss Went.
Yeah, down. Shout out Miss Went.
Back to JV.
I hope you're proud of me.
For real. I was in PALS, and I got partnered with this young lady who knew she was different. Definitely was not feminine at all. And she never expressed to me anything. All she knew was that she felt different than the other girls, and she was getting bullied because they would call her a boy. Again, like, and I feel like, yes, like we should teach that everyone's different and we express ourselves differently. I think
100%.
That's the approach that they should do when it comes to kids, is that every kid expresses themselves differently. I think it's an age thing once you get maybe to middle school or high school where like you want to start educating on more specifics, right? Because
Yes.
I do feel like kids at an early age, as early as like 6, could like they probably know themselves. You
They
know
can
what I'm
understand
saying?
those type of complex
Yeah.
ideas. Yeah, yeah.
And also, it just goes back to at home. I mean, again, right now I currently work with kids from the ages 10 to 17. And I could definitely say, like, you know, not every kid has a home where, like, their parents can educate them on those topics.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm trying to say? But
I
us as adults should, right now, like, everyone who's aware of it should be kind of, like, educated and should be trained on those things because at the end of the day, like, these things are more, how do I explain it? Like, it's not like, I mean, it's always been there. First of all, first and foremost, like,
exactly.
you know what I'm saying?
It's not like it's a new thing.
It's not a new thing. It's always been there.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not for us, not even for us. It's not for everyone to understand, but it's not for anyone to judge.
Yeah, and I think that people can really, like, come to an understanding that they don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we might not understand this right now, but we can understand the same feeling of being alienated or being discriminated against. You know, and nobody wants that for themselves or there's somebody that they love. You know what I mean? Everybody can understand that. You know, I think everybody can understand that sentiment of, like, no one should feel bullied. No one ever should, you know, be in that position of being bullied just for being who they are. You know, but also it's just like my take on it basically is that, like, you know, I mean, I watched Euphoria, right?
Yeah.
You watch Euphoria, right?
Yeah.
Euphoria is a crazy show. It's a very realistic show, right?
Yeah.
What were we gonna say?
No, I really didn't know that. What's the actress name? Hunter. That's her name.
Oh,
one that plays
Jules.
Jules.
Yeah.
Literally, they had the second season that just came out. I literally thought she's a woman.
Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, me too.
But
I think a lot of people,
like,
yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like I did not know the whole first season.
Me too.
Like,
I think a lot of people felt like that. I think they did that on purpose, just to, like, understand that feeling that is like, you know, you might feel this way about a certain person, but it's like, this is what the reality is. You know what I mean? Like,
but I also watched Pose.
I've never seen Pose.
Pose it's a show. I think it's set it in the 70s, in New York City, and it's about, like, drag, underground drag shows and this and that. But again, like, they have beautiful women who, again, like, you wouldn't even think, like, they've undergone anything. You know what I'm trying to say? So I feel like there's a lot of people who just know who they are. There's people who really
express themselves differently.
There's people who really, like, believe they're born in the wrong bodies. Like, sometimes, and then they strive in who they want to be.
Exactly.
So it's like, like, when this, you know what I'm saying? It's really a topic that it hits close to me because I always say, like, if you see somebody who's happy in their decision, it's like, be happy for them.
Exactly.
They're striving, they're going.
Well, I mean, in the Constitution, it says, you know, we all men are created equal and something, whatever the fuck, 1, 2, skip a few. It says, you know, everybody has the right to, you know, of life, love, and the pursuit of happiness.
Right. So would you rather see
it's literally in the Constitution of America, you know, so it's like, that's basically un-American to you know, not to stop somebody in their pursuit of happiness. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's like, would you rather see, okay, like, let's say, like, a man transitioning into being a woman. Would you rather see him all depressed, all this, all that, like, in the body that he doesn't, you know, feel comfortable in or whatever? You know what I'm saying? You're either going to see someone depressed that they can't express themselves how they would like.
Exactly. And you're going to feel good, or they're going to, you know what I'm saying? You're going to feel good for, like, nobody wants that for themselves or someone they love. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody can understand that. And the reason that I bring up, like, Euphoria is I think it's a very real, like, show. It's very realistic, you know what I mean? And my take on just, like, the generation coming up is just that, like, you know, we come from a generation of a lot of broken homes, you know? Like, my parents are divorced. I don't know how your parents are, but I mean, their divorce rates were like 50%. So, I mean, it's probably, your parents are probably together, right? Because statistically speaking, like, right here, it's like...
I mean, you know, no family's perfect. I can say that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, everybody's different. 100%. And, you know, I just think that, you know, like we're saying, we don't have those parents that are educated enough to educate the next generation on certain things like that. And I think, you know, like you're saying, kids, like, started, you know, expressing themselves a little bit more, like, because I think because, like, that parentship, like, wasn't there to, like, set those boundaries to be like, you know, just to educate, you know, the kids, you know, like the younger generation, you know. But I mean, you know.
It's a shockwave for everybody. I think, you know, you telling me that your parents are divorced. I'm first generation. Like, my parents are like, they, you know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't really.
I'm second generation. And my parents were born here. Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, so it's different because, again, like, my parents aren't teaching me about, like, mental health awareness, or, like, my parents didn't.
Yeah, they're like, what is mental health? Yeah, like that.
What you stress about? What you know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's them. Like, you didn't have to do what I had to, you know, like, or those are some things that, but again, like, I don't believe that the things that are more public now are new.
Oh,
like,
no,
they're not new.
100%.
I think they're just things that a good chunk of people didn't want it to be so publicized, and because of the internet,
exactly, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Because of how, you know, everything is just online, like, it's just more available and more accessible for us to be educated about.
Like, whenever people say, like, oh, what is the world coming to, or what is this and that, like, I don't think that the world is coming to, like, anything. I think it's been like this. It's just that we have our, you know, devices to shed light on certain things that weren't able to, like you're saying. Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. You were saying, you said you were thinking a lot about the censorship.
And it goes back to the censorship because, again, like, so now you make me think, like, there are people who want to censor these type of conversations, you know? And again, I think it's important to speak on it. And depends who's speaking on it.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like if you have an opinion on something, some people don't like to share their opinion because they don't think it matters. But it's also like who's talking about it, like the faces behind it.
100%. I think, like you're saying, people would want to stop these conversations, but I think these are conversations that need to be had and heard because, you know, it's just, I think we need to all just become on level ground with the information that's coming along. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that, like, that shouldn't divide us the way that they do, you know what I'm saying? Because at the fundamental core of it, like, we all understand the same principles, you know what I mean? Like, like we're saying, with this trans issue, it's really just about pursuit of happiness, you know what I mean? Like, people pursuing their own form of happiness in their own reality, you know what I'm saying? And everybody can relate to that, you know? And, you know, when things get emotionally charged, you know, that's when things go bad, you know, because we can, you know, we try to stand on our ideas and try to identify with them and things like that. But it's just like, you know, not everybody doesn't know everything, and all we can do is try to make the best. Like you're saying, like you say, you think about your kids. Like, I think, you know, I have a son, and I want the world to be, you know,
more
a more beautiful, you know, accepting place, or just a better place. You know, I want to make it into a better place, and I think that with these conversations, you know, these are things that are, like, really invaluable or priceless. You know, because these are conversations that, you know, people can listen to and understand, and, you know. Just take from them like that. It's the same feeling that everybody can understand of pursuing happiness, and, you know, and yeah, for sure.
And I mean, and I definitely right now, even speaking on it, like, I don't feel like you need to, like, if you're with something, you're for something, you don't necessarily need to, like,
explain it. No,
you don't need to, like right now we're talking about transgenders specifically, right? You and I, you know, you're a man,
a binary man,
you know,
you're a binary woman. Yeah.
But
cis man, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Or whatever.
I'm sorry.
The point is, like, I don't need to. You don't need to be, like, what you're talking about, like, to speak on it. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think that's what people are so, like, caught up on. Like, when they hear a transgender person talk about something, it's like, it's almost like they don't even want to hear them say it because it's coming from them, and that's sad.
That is sad.
But if you're for something and you have an opinion, speak on it. Like, I learned that at an early age, like, with my brother.
100%.
I knew about my brother since I was, like, 10. He told me that, you know, like, oh, he's gay or whatever, and, like, I'm 10 years old, like, okay. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love you, my brother. I don't know.
It doesn't really change anything.
You know, it's not processing, like, all what that could, you know what I'm saying, mean.
The possibilities or whatever, yeah.
But all I knew was, you're my brother, I love you.
And that doesn't change.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But, you know what I'm saying, again, like, coming from first generation.
That is a new
It's, to them, it's like, whoa, like.
Yeah.
But I always stood up for my brother. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I always stood up for, because at the end of the day, I'm not looking at him any different. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say?
Because it really doesn't change anything at the end of the day. Like, what he does in his free time or whatever, it really doesn't change anything.
So
All it is love.
And same thing with race. And same thing with just anything else.
Anything,
like,
literally anything else. Because it's all, once you operate with love and you just like think about, you know, the golden rule, whatever, catch, as corny as people want to, whatever, you know, just treat people how you want to be treated. When you think about it like that, like,
it really
you know,
does.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't change
it's
anything.
what they do as people, if they're a good person or not.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that matters. Like, what we do, who we are, what we look like, none of that shit matters. Like, if I had one eye, that doesn't mean I can't fucking see you.
Yeah.
Like, I could see you.
If you didn't have both eyes, you wouldn't be able to see me though. But you're feeling the feeling, the energy is still there. Like, you know, and who you are as a person is still there. You know, so it's not, that doesn't change anything.
I just feel like a lot of people tend to judge a lot.
And people want to just be right. You know,
people just want to argue about really like shit that doesn't like.
Yeah,
what
I don't think it's about being right or wrong. You know, it's
about understanding.
It's about understanding
and
exactly.
listening to each other. And people need to like be okay with agreeing to disagree sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just like what you're saying about like the person, or like, you know, you have to understand your audience that you're listening, that you're talking to. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just aren't gonna absorb the message. You know what I mean? And that's cool. A certain thing. You know, and you have to be patient with those people. You know, and it's like, you know, I don't know. It's just, I've learned a lot of shit, and it's like a lot of the way that I've been like brought up is really like backwards. You know, like a lot of shit that I've been taught is really backwards. Like just about, you know, relationships with people and like how you go about like, you know, just the whole shit about like, you know, disrespect or you know, how you handle things. It's almost like paradoxical. You know what a paradox is? Like, it's like a contradiction. It's like, you know, I've learned a lot of shit about that. Just, you know, like how, you know, like say somebody tests you or whatever, you know, you feel like the right thing to do at that moment is to defend yourself or defend your honor and shit like that, right? That feels like the right thing to do.
Right.
But it really, in reality, that's probably the worst thing you can do at that moment. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, you should take a breath and you know, dissect things and let it pass and let it process and shit like that. You know what I mean?
And that's crazy because I really try to teach that to the kids that I work with.
Yeah.
Because I work with.
That's a beautiful message.
I work with juveniles.
Okay. Yeah.
So a lot of those kids, they have a lot of. They don't know how to deal with their feelings. They don't know how to express their emotions.
But when we talk about feelings, like, it's crazy because feelings are literally the most real thing that you have. You know what I mean? Like, in the moment when you feel something, like, there's nothing like that feeling. You know what I mean? Like, at any moment, and you feel disrespected or you feel, you know, something like that. It's a real feeling.
Yeah, people get triggered. Like, being triggered is a real thing. Like,
attachment to those like emotions, you know what I'm saying, is a real thing. And I've just learned a lot about like detachment and trying to detach from your emotions, you know what I mean? Like, because when you think about it, like, your emotions can really deceive you and lead you down the wrong path, like I'm saying. Like, in certain things, like, you can just, the right thing to do really in that moment is to breathe and let that moment pass through you. You know what I'm saying? And that's you know, it's definitely like I think it's like a Hindu teaching or like Muslim teaching or Buddhist, something like that. Just about it, like, we're not attached to our ideas. You know what I mean? Like, we're not our ideas. They're not our identity. They flow through us, just like air, just like water, you know, and everything else. And
things come and go.
Exactly. And you know, and that's when we talk about like censorship and about just education with people, like, you know, people might be educated in one way and not have the different perspective, challenge their perspective, you know what I mean? And you won't ever have that evolution until you get that challenge of perspective, you know what I mean? To understand the different side. Yeah. And I think that, you know, that's what I want to do with my podcast, is just have different people, you know, different perspectives, just to be able to paint that a more broad picture of life. You know what I mean?
You can't, like, I feel like you can't really understand something fully until you've talked to people that have been in those situations, are able to articulate themselves to express like something that we may not be able to understand. That's just, I don't believe in like.
I think we have to wrap up. I'm sorry.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're getting a little bit over, but I was having so much fun.
Yes,
seriously, this was a great conversation. I think, like I said, I think you gave a lot of service, not just to me, but to people that are listening to this conversation as well.
Y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming, and I hope you could be on another time for sure.
Yes, and we could talk about some cool things.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, definitely.
Store.
Yes, ma'am. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, do you have anything coming up? What do you have like? Or do you have anything you're working on right now?
Y'all gonna have to follow me to know.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Definitely. I would definitely plug your shit right here. So yeah, go ahead and follow her, the Paisley Queen, on Instagram.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening to this entire thing. I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much.
This was great. All right, guys. You guys have a good one.